In the aftermath of India's loss to Hong Kong in the AFC Asian Cup qualifiers, the AIFF, India's national football body, they conducted a press conference today. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the key takeaways of that press conference. And starting with the fact that the position of the head coach Manolo Marquez is in deep trouble. A final decision on him is going to be taken on June 29th in the executive committee meeting of the AIFF. So ever since Marquez has actually taken charge of the Indian football team, they've struggled to get going. The results are nowhere to be seen at all. They had a goalless draw against Bangladesh, and now a couple of days ago they also had a loss to Hong Kong here. So obviously no results at all, and that's what even Kalyan Chaubey, the president of the AIFF, also said in the press conference, that if you don't score, you are more than likely not really going to win. So that pretty much also means that Marquez's position is clearly in trouble, and as it has been said, a final decision on him is going to be taken on June 29th. Well, moving on, the need of strikers, or rather I should say the desperate need of strikers here. So there was a reason why the Indian football team opted to have Sunil Chhetri, the striker, back for the AFC Asian Cup qualifiers. So remember, Chhetri had already retired from Indian football, but then they decided to have him back so as to make sure that they do well and win those matches in the AFC Asian Cup qualifiers. But guess what? The results have remained the same. No wins to show for that matter. And what this clearly also means, that if you do not have those credible strikers in your team, then how are you really going to score? And that is where Chaubey, the president of AIFF, has clearly mentioned that now they are going to go to the under 23 so as to make sure that they find about 4 to 5 strikers and give them some kind of a crash course so that they're ready for the international level. Now, going back to Chhetri may or may not was a great decision, but then you want to look into the future, and that's where maybe looking out for some 4 to 5 strikers from under 23 is a good decision. But just a crash course so as to make sure that they are available or ready for international football, well, that remains to be seen how that really works. But personally, not really sure how great an idea that is. Well, moving on, India to include OCI players. Now, you may ask, what is OCI here? Overseas Citizen of India. So the overseas citizens of India, or those football enthusiasts who actually want to play for India, well, there's a good chance now that they could represent the Indian football team. Chaubey has clearly mentioned here that he is in talks with the departments of the government here, the various departments of the Indian government, and they're also trying their best so as to make sure that these OCI players, a total of 33 here, can play or represent India at least some stage. It's not really far away, but that's where Chaubey has said that there is no timeline as to what he can confirm as to when these players can represent India. Moving on, a second last point here, India to bid for AFC events. So this is one thing that Chaubey has clearly mentioned, that India is going to bid for the 2031 AFC Asian Cup here, while the country is actually bidding for the 2036 Olympic Games. India is actually also going to bid for the 2031 AFC Games here, AFC Asian Cup, and that's what Chaubey clearly mentioned as far as this particular quote is concerned. And last but not the least, now this point may leave you with some kind of heavy thoughts and how things are really poor in Indian football here. The Chaubey Bhutia blame game that's currently going on. So when India lost to Hong Kong 1-0, Baichung Bhutia is obviously a renowned Indian footballer, celebrated across the globe here. He clearly mentioned that Indian football is in a mess, and the main reason why it is really happening, it is because of Kalyan Chaubey, because ever since he has taken over as the president of the All India Football Federation here, things haven't really gone well at all for the national football team. But now, in return, Chaubey has said that Bhutia is an advisor of AIFF. They'd really take care of him, but then he isn't really contributing anything at all, or rather he's just focused on the fact that he wants to promote his own football academy. And at the very same time, Chaubey also said that Bhutia is an advisor to various football academies that are there in India. He takes crores of money from them, but he does not really visit them, which means, according to Chaubey, that Bhutia is playing with the emotions and the lives of the young and aspiring Indian footballers. The point here is, one party has a point to make and so does the other party. And who is really getting affected in this? It is the Indian football, which is actually not going anywhere, and that is turning out to be very costly for them. So what do you think about these key takeaways of the AIFF press conference, and specifically the Chaubey-Bhutia game? Is that blame game really necessary, or do these parties really need to keep everything out of the window, really just throw it and make sure that they focus on Indian football? Well, you can let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today for all the exciting updates and analysis from the sporting world. Until then, on behalf of my producer Shashwat, it's Siddharth Gulati saying goodbye.